Okay, so good afternoon, Rebel coaches. This is your Dark Elf match fixer Tomo here. I'm being joined by my regular partner, the Wood Elf Cool, and today's special guest is the Bretonian coach Reese. Why don't you say hello today, guys?
Good morning,
Hello.
or good afternoon, depending on where you are.
Yep. Good afternoon, Australians.
Okay, so first let's start the around the ground recap before we start jumping in and having a look at the matches in detail. Cole, do you want to start with this?
Yeah. So we're gonna just give you a quick overview of what's happening. So, because I know that sometimes it's hard to watch us for an hour or 45 minutes or 2 hours. So we're just gonna give you a brief overview of all the games going into the league. So we'll start in Division 3, where the Phallus Cowboys were on a bye this week, so they got a 2-0 victory. The Walk Machine went down to Crushivania, 1-2. Then we had the SI Earthshakers, an undead team, playing Tomo actually, Echoes of Uthue. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Tomo. Tomo ended up winning 2-1 there. The Kulin Skinks were on the bye this week, winning 2-0, as were the Kandamar Dragons. And the Wumpfners drew with Holly Mur 2-2. So moving on to Div 2, the Flying Rainbow Ponies were on a bye this week. Straight Outta Nuffle beat Triple Extra Cheese Toppin 2-0. TARDIS beat the Rat Lovers 2-0. The Tunnel Marauders beat Fun and Interactive 2-1. And West Seas Wolves beat the Razor Leafs 1-0. And looking at Div 1, the Astro Orcs were on bye for the first round of Div 1. We had New World Order versus the Cold Coast Cutthroats. Sam Slade is currently away, so that was a 2-0 concede win to New World Order. White Lion, a Wood Elf team, beat Bad Phoenix, a High Elf team, 2-1. We had Reese's Ravens beat the Capital Rats in a 2-0 victory there. That was casted last week. The Shadow Hill Cowboys ended up beating the It's a Speedsters in a Dark Elf versus Lizardmen match, 1-0. The Bay Area Butchers lost to Duck Confederacy, 0-2, and Dwarven Around lost to Bash Incorporated, 0-2. So that's all for week 1. Now we'll get on with the usual recap.
Okay, cool. Thanks very much for that recap. I'm gonna keep that slideshow playing in the bottom right. I don't know how big it is or if people are gonna be able to see it or not, but you know, if anyone jumps in, they just want to have a quick recap. You know, it's gonna keep running there. So, what we're gonna do first is we're all gonna, pick a team in each division, have a quick talk about it, and then talk about the overall division, the leaderboard, and everything. So we'll start with Division 3. Reese, you're our special guest today. I'll give you first pick of the teams. Who do you want to talk about?
I think I'll talk about the SI Earthshakers. That's a undead team, coached by Phage.
Yep.
So they're basically the biggest team in the division at the moment. I think they've got 14 players, which is pretty impressive, really, after so few games into the season. They've got that the Blodge plus agility ghoul, which is always great. It's not really, it's hard to touch them once they get that fast and that agile. You just need sidestep, I think, next there. He's got another Blodge ghoul. Got block on one of the mummies and guard on the other one, which is always a great start, in my opinion. It gives you a good mix. I think the only thing he really needs to do is to get a bit more SPP on those whites. Start building them into killers. And I'd maybe trim one of the zombies, but not the one that he killed off you, Tomo. It's always good to see a elf name in an undead team that makes no sense compared to the rest of the players.
Yeah, it is a pretty good team. It's had 6 games, so it used all 4 of its spins. But 1, 3, and 2 is its record so far. Tomo, you played them first week. Perhaps you could give us a little more.
Yeah. So our game, I'm not gonna complain about it too much. I've won in everything, but if you have a look at the armor breaks in that game between me and him, I think he succeeded in something like a third more blocks than me. Yeah, so he succeeded 48 blocks to my 34. But if you have a look at, how that converted into, casualties, deaths, and KO sustained, he had absolutely, I did nothing to him all game. I was like mighty pushing him, like with every single blitz rather than mighty blowing him. And yeah, it's reflected in the armor breaks. If you have a look at that, I think I inflicted something like 2 armor breaks.
2 armor breaks
all game, blitzing with mighty blow almost every single turn. Whereas he inflicted 10 onto me, including that just complete random death that wasn't even by a model with mighty blow or anything. So.
See, looking at his thing, he's done well at maximizing his blocks at least, just under 50 blocks. That's a pretty good total for a 1 match. And of course, bash teams, if you can out bash another bash team, you're a pretty good shot to win usually.
Oh yeah, so, yeah, absolutely. It had me like super nervous sometimes. I mean, I guess I was lucky that I've been playing with a lot of mercenaries this season, so I don't mind kind of sticking a mercenary next to a mummy to keep him there. But if it was like one of my more valuable players, it could have been a little bit more dangerous. The only thing I'd say about kind of like the way that the game actually went is that if you're watching Phage, be less conscious about be less worried about your mummies getting hit and follow through with them more. A lot of the time you were hitting me, but then just standing off, which let me just run away from your mummies. Whereas if you follow up and at least force me to make the dodge rolls and things, I think that they could have done a little bit more.
Yeah, they're regen and armor 9, so you can't afford to have them sit there and tie up a couple of players.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, they've had a good start of the season.
Block mummy is always very handy, so that's good for them.
You had that at the start, actually. I'm trying to see where they are in the league. So 1 draw and 1 loss in the league so far. It's not the best, but he's definitely got a strong team to build on, doesn't he?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Okay,
moving on.
Yep, I'll let you go next, Cool.
Alright, I'm going to pick Crushervania this week. They're a necromantic team. We looked at them last week with some interesting choices on the wolves. So first up there was Jump Up on the wolf, and now there's Strip Ball. That's an interesting pick. What do you think about that, Reese?
Yeah, I'm not sure I would have gone with that route. I probably, if I wanted to get a sacker from a wolf, that's not a bad idea, but I probably would have gotten him wrestle before I got him either of those other 2. Yeah. I mean, really I can understand the attraction of Jump Up because he's such a fast player. If you want to turn him into a safety or a sacker, he can get there from almost anywhere on the pitch. But you really do, you need a way of taking down those block players. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, I don't know quite what his synergy is. Maybe it's sort of the fact that he's got high armor, and Jump Up means maybe he's hoping that after he gets knocked over, he can jump up and smack someone and try and open up cages. But it's a pretty niche area, so it'll be interesting to see how he develops. For all we've said about Jump Up being a bit of a weird pick, he's gone 2-0 so far on the season, so he's started well.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously knows what he's doing.
I think another thing to look at with this team is the flesh golem with the 3 movement.
Yeah,
imitating a mummy.
He's got mighty blow, but I'd still probably drop him as soon as I had the cash to replace him. It might just be that he doesn't because he's only got 80k, so he's quite possibly just saving up to replace him.
Yeah, it's an interesting start for this team. And looking at the zombies as well, a bit unorthodox. Tackle as the first pick on the zombie, which is very much
there's quite a few elf teams in Division 3, so
Yeah.
I can certainly understand that. Like, there's 2 lizardmen teams, so that's great for dealing with skinks as well. There's the dark elves. There's 2 dark elf teams. You know,
2 Skaven as
2
well.
Skaven. So yeah, any tackle you can get in this division is certainly a good idea. And it's not like he's given up on Dirty Player, because he does have one of those as well.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how he goes, I think. Considering he started 2-0, I think both of his wins weren't concedes either. So that's a really good start for an interestingly built team. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing how they go.
Yep, you're right. His week 1 game was against the
1 was a concede.
Walk Machine, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is there anything about that game that you want to talk
2-1.
about, or?
Looking at the statistics for the game, it looks like he just played the ball more. Walk Machine won the blocking battle, and actually had more ball possession. But I'd imagine that the Necromantic team was just quicker to score, looking at the 94 yards running to the 52 yards running sort of thing. So
Crushvania actually doubled the number of armor breaks that Walk Machine did.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Which
so
that says that
though
they've done well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly new Orc team, so I don't think they had much Mighty Blow, and obviously you've got the 2 mummies with Mighty Blow on the Necros, not mummies, flesh golems.
Well, there's 1 flesh golem.
1, sorry. Yeah.
But
and
yeah,
the 2 claw players.
Yes, definitely. It'd be interesting to see that replay, because that's quite a big win and a lot of armor breaks against AV9. So I reckon he must have got a little lucky there, but he obviously played it well to win. And the other one was in fact a concede victory against the new Chaos team.
Yeah, it's not just his armor breaks against Walk Machine as well. If you have a look at what the armor breaks actually transitioned to, you know, he inflicted 3 KOs, 4 KAs, and just 1 outright death in that game, which is, pretty huge considering he only sustained kind of like, 1 KAs himself. It makes me wonder why his possession's so low when he's had, so many removals against the opponent team.
Well, I'm not quite sure what's happening with here, because his game against the Chaos team, if you have a look, there were armor breaks, but it was a concede victory. So I'm not quite sure.
It must have just been like an internet issue or something.
Yeah, that's probably what's happened. So that's a bit annoying for the new Chaos team, which I believe you will be introducing next, Tomo. Is that right?
Yeah, I will if you want me to just jump into that and talk about that now. Okay. So yeah, we've had a lot of new teams like join the league since we did the season kind of preview. So I think during my weekly picks, I'm always going to pick some of the new teams to give you guys, a little chance to be in the spotlight a little bit. The first team I'm going to be looking at is Nemanja. You're going to have to teach me how to say this. I have absolutely no idea. So this time I'm going to go with what? Iridusibili? Like, if I'm missing some kind of joke or something there, like I said, please tell me. His little motto, hello world. So, you open it up and it's just a rookie Chaos team, but it's not just your average rookie Chaos team. He's actually chosen to drop 1 Chaos Warrior in favor of getting the Minotaur, which I think is quite an interesting choice because the Minotaur brings quite a lot of unreliability to the setup with Wild Animal. Kind of, I think we mentioned this in the preview, but taking a Wild Animal big guy is kind of a commitment to either be blitzing every turn or to be making sure that you're going to be hitting with him every turn, otherwise he isn't really doing much. I think what he's possibly thinking that by going with the Minotaur start is that he's joining a league a little late against some teams that have had, 4 spin league games and maybe 1 or 2 games in the league. He just wanted to kind of have that little bit of hitting power to try and, equalize the league a little bit. But
yeah, get a few casualties in there early with it, and I guess that would make sense that he'd be blitzing with it quite often if that was his idea.
Yeah, but in the long run, I think you're going to want to try and reach a point where that Minotaur isn't really necessary anymore.
Yeah, maybe
mean,
just
it can
play
be
until he
handy.
dies.
Yeah, it
Just
can be
replace-
handy with tentacles, of course, against fast teams.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
And he can, I believe, take that on normals. So
Is that still normals mutation access? Yes, it is.
yeah. Mutation and strength. That's, I guess, one of the big advantages for Chaos over some of the other teams.
Absolutely. If we have a look at his match history, yeah, it was just like the 2-0 concession to Crushervania, as we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed it. Why you guys said why that was a concede?
It looks like he must have had an internet. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it was like turn 2 or 3 when it happened.
Right, yeah, that would kind of make sense. There's no ball possession or anything, so there's only 6 blocks succeeded from Irreducibility, 4 from Crushervania. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, I just think that they're an interesting addition to Division 3. I don't think there was any other Chaos team. Oh no, there is Holy Moo, which is another new team that we didn't actually get the chance to talk about yet. So maybe I'll talk about them next week, or one of the other kind of like new teams. But I'm really looking forward. I'm really excited as well that we've managed to fill up so many spots in Division 3 instead of starting with like 7 or 8, which I was worried we were going to be, a few weeks ago.
Yeah, good to see a more competitive division with a few more players in it.
Well, yeah, there's only going to be one buy round now, which is the Green Bay Packmasters, so that is good to see.
Yep. Do we just
want
to talk
check
about
out the ladder?
We can do. I'm not gonna talk too much about this so far, but
Tomo, who's leading?
just some noob, some scrub, Although I'm equal with Crushervania, and me and him are playing each other next week, I believe. So that's
Should
week
be an
3.
interesting match.
Yeah,
And then we got everyone else. It's pretty even. It's early in the season, so there's not too much to say at the moment, really.
The Cullen Skinks still need to play, so they might end up there as well.
That's true.
So yeah,
they're 1-0-0. They're still up to play against Walk Machine.
Okay, so
shall we move on?
Yep, that's Division 3. We're gonna move on to Division 2 now. So we've got the teams. Reese, do you want to go first again?
Yeah, sure. If you like. I think I've got to go with the Flying Rainbow Ponies, which is just such a ridiculous name. And I'm a big High Elf fan, so let's take a look at them.
Okay.
So they've actually got a fairly normal development to them. There's not too much juicing going on. They've got that Blodge Step Blitzer, which is great and super irritating for pretty much everybody who has to play against them. They're starting to get a little bit of SPP and development on the catchers. So they've got a Blodge catcher, and the other one's almost ready to level up. And they've got a leader strong arm thrower, which is great because those TV, the TV from the rerolls can be quite a big impact on the high elf teams. They're already quite an expensive team, just with how expensive the linemen are. They've got kick on one of their linemen, which is great for the high elves, so you can say kick deep against dwarves and make them run those little stunty legs, or short against other teams and try and hope for a blitz. I really love the strong arm on the thrower because I love passing, and it's the only team that can really pass properly. So yeah, he's doing well, and he's spreading his SPP around, which is quite important with the high elf team because they, the more blodge they get, the more effective they are.
Yeah, definitely.
So he went up 3-1, I think, in his last game, which is pretty solid. And he's got like a 2-2-2, result, which is quite good for an early elf team or early high elf team. They do have a tough start when they don't have too many skills.
Yeah, well, they've had a great start considering that they don't have many skills at the start. You're exactly right, and strong arm makes a much more viable thrower for throwing longer distances, particularly because the high elf thrower starts with safe throw. So this team should be one to watch for sure.
Just needs to get a couple more catches in there once he's got the cash, because you really do want to get those developed. And as the movement 8, I love them, so you want as many of them as possible. Although he has gone with the standard start, so that's not unusual.
Well, yeah, he's won both of his games so far. So
it looks like his week 1 was a bye though.
Yeah. But yeah, it should be good to see how he goes.
Yeah, I don't think I can disagree with any of that. Like, has block and everything all over the place on this team. It's going to be quite obnoxious to get some blocks, I think. But yeah, it's looking really, really solid. Should we move on, or is there anything else you guys want to say?
I don't think there's anything else to say about these guys.
Well, I will take the other awesome passing team. There is another team that can pass, I would like to point out, and that is ReBBL. So looking at Crusaders, the Razor Leafs, they looked pretty boring earlier, but 5AG strip ball ward answer, dodges, wrench. Everyone should be watching out for this player, because
just get him tackle,
nasty.
And no ball carrier is safe.
Yep, he's been nominated the MVP 2 times in 5 matches, so he's been obviously wowing those commentators. But yeah, it should be good to see how he goes, because he's just, AG5 on Wood Elves is great. And it's not only great for leaping into cages, it means he can do other things, like dodging through 1 tackle zone is now only on a 2+. He can suddenly pass to a short range on a 2+ as well. So it's really just handy. Because he's, block, dodge, AG5, strip ball, and leap. And that's right, he leaps on a 2+ as well. So that's going to be really good for Crusader going forward.
Yeah, it synergizes really well with kick having such an agile ward answer. So, because if you kick, short and they fail to pick up the ball, then he can easily leap in and grab that, or dodge in, grab it and leap out.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him pick up another catcher, because he's only got 10 men at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I know some Wood Elf coaches don't like picking up too many catches early. I love catches because, of course, 8 movement and dodge, I find is great for playing, the Wood Elf way. But yeah, it should be good to see how he goes. He's got some decent development on the linemen. 2 of them have TDs, 2 have MVPs, and of course there's the one with kick. But yeah, so if nearly any of his linemen get the MVP, they skill up, which is great for a Wood Elf team to have.
Okay, have you got anything to say about his previous games at all, or?
Looking at his last 2 games, he had a bye week last week, which is why he's got a bit of extra cash, and got the skill ups. Then he beat.
I think he lost.
Beat him. Yep, he lost.
Yeah, he looks like he got the crap blocked out of him, because he's it's 52 to 23 blocks.
Yeah. See, Wood Elves really have to just play ball, and if Necromantic, if they can control the ball, they're gonna gain strife when that happens. Actually, there were 2 casualties sustained on either side. The difference was 5 KOs for the Razor Leafs, so that's making a difference for them.
It looks like he knocked out 2 of his players himself, because it's only 3 KOs inflicted by the Wolves, but 5 sustained.
Ouch. So if you snake eye, go for it or something, probably.
Or some failed dodges. That's the other one.
Yeah.
They can get you that.
'Tis the Wood Elf way, really.
Yeah, it's not often you see a Wood Elf team with less running yards than their opponent.
Yeah, definitely.
Was that a spin game,
What
or
about-
was that his actual week 1 game?
That was week 1, I think.
Week
Yeah, it
1.
was week 1.
Yeah, that was week 1. Okay. Cool. So, that's the Rizzle Leafs kind of done, unless you guys want to add anything at the end there.
No.
No.
Oh, okay, so now it's my pick. Is there... What new teams are there in this one?
The new Dark Elf team.
That's right.
Garon Cold Ones.
The Garon Cold Ones, coached by Lysium? I feel like I've heard that name before somewhere. Is that
I think it's Lithium, but
Lithium?
he's gone late with his with the 7 replacing a T. I've seen him on the Discord a couple times.
Yeah, that might be where I've heard the name or something then. I think it's an interesting, Dark Elf start, actually. It's just something I want to point out. Again, this is going to be a rookie team that we're talking about. He's gone the 4 blitzers, 1 runner builds with 2 rerolls, and of course 7 linemen. It's kind of, a good solid start that gives you your 4 blitzers with block. You've got your runner, which, for me, I know that if you watched Foul Language, I actually, I sent a question in to ask Sanjun about his runner selection, and why he chose to skill it up as like a traditional kind of like quarterback style runner instead of taking like either blodge leader, or whether even to have one entirely. I see a lot of Dark Elf coaches that normally like starting the 1 Witch Elf build, so you go 1 Witch Elf, 3 blitzers, and the rest linemen, and that gets you 2 rerolls as well. And it kind of it gives you the frenzy threat. So I think it's quite interesting that instead of trying to start with the frenzy threat of the Witch Elf, he's starting with the runner to get a little bit more overall speed in the team at the start as well. Because obviously with this
a little
start,
bit more
you've
consistency as well.
Yeah, you got
with the extra block.
Yeah, you start with 1 extra block, and you've got 5 movement 7 players, whereas in the other way around, you've only got 4.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, if he can get a skill on the runner in this first game, he can pick up leader for that cheap team reroll, which can be very handy, of course, for Dark Elves only starting with 2. And because usually you're going to want to buy an apothecary before you buy a reroll. So, yeah, it depends how he wants to play it, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you get that extra kind of leader reroll, it's you can use it on the like critical dodges as well. Like before you have dodge on this team, like we know it's all agility 4, but we've got 2 elf coaches on here, and I think me or Cool could tell you that you're always going to fail some 2+ dodges throughout the game. No matter, even if you have dodge on all your players, you're still going to fail some 2+ dodges throughout the game. So I think that leader getting the extra reroll just for like a very critical dodge or something could be really interesting,
well,
or
that's
really
the
handy
thing,
to have.
isn't it? Like looking at the stats for my games, for example, Wood Elves dodge a bit more than Dark Elves, but I average about 70 dodges a game. So that's going to get you at least 2 Snake Eyes. So, you got to be ready for that. And, like, it surprises you sometimes how much you dodge, but you've got to abuse that AG4.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can't be scared of it. Otherwise,
yeah,
there's no point in playing an elf over, a more bashy team. But
especially with an AV7 team like Wood Elves, though, you don't want to
Yes.
you don't want to leave your players touching the opponent.
all right, so yeah, that's where I probably heard the name from his I've been doing some casting with Crusader recently, and Lithium's a new guy to the Blood Bowl 2 League, and he's one of the guys from Crusader's Tabletop League. So, I was going to say welcome to Lithium, and I hope you enjoy your stay in the Big O this season. And best of luck to you.
Indeed. Good. Well, good to have you.
Good luck.
Okay, so we'll have a quick look at the Division 2 leaderboard.
Division 2, I think they're way ahead of us. I think they've already done all of their Week 2 games. They have. You can't go doing this to us, commentators. You make us look bad.
Yeah, I know. I've missed so many games as well. I casted 4 games yesterday, and I'm still missing some. It's like, what?
Yeah.
But
Should we save it for next week, or should we just give them a brief overview?
just give them a brief overview of how the leaderboard's doing, and then we can do it kind of next Sunday as well, I think.
Well, yeah, the TARDIS are actually on top. We didn't have a look at them, but they're a Lizardman team. That's pretty good. Lizardmen can be plagued by early bad luck since no block or anything. That's a good start for him. And then we have the Flying Rainbow Ponies in second. And there's a couple teams on Wes Seas Wolves is on 1 win and 1 draw. And then we got a couple teams on 1 win and 1 loss. And finishing off with fun and interactive, the new team, Garond Cold Ones, because they've only had 2 concede victories because they haven't been around. And Triple Extra Cheese Toppin, who haven't had a great start, sadly for them. But
I don't think they played week 1,
back.
so just the 1 loss, I think.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so I think that's pretty comprehensive, unless you guys want to add something before we jump into Div 1.
No, I'm good.
Cool. Okay, so next, Division 1. Again, special guest Reese. Who do you want to talk about first?
I think I will go with White Line. So that's Morka, that's Liam's dad. And they're quite an impressive looking team at the moment, although still got that that agility 3 strength up player and the armor busted lineman who I would really get rid of. Like, I can understand keeping the strength player since it's something you don't have a lot of in Wood Elf teams, but a lineman with armor 6, even if he's got Rog, you're probably just better off with a loner.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he. I know my dad is big on having a bench. At the moment, that player can start on the bench, but he costs a little. So.
Yeah, so that's an extra, 40k in TV. I guess maybe he wants to maintain that one player bench, and he just doesn't have the cash at the moment, which can be tough for the Wood Elves. They don't have, they lose a lot of players. The Tree Man's got guard, which is nice. And it's good for the starting, so you can get a couple of extra blocks in. And he's got that Mighty Blow piling on War Dancer, who no one has managed to stomp to death yet, which is very disappointing for me personally.
Well, he spent the last 2 matches on ice he's meant to have. In the last match, I know he went out turn 2. I think he got badly hurt and didn't come back. And then the match before that, supposedly he was out for a long time as well. So he hasn't actually seen much action early on in the season because people like to try and kill him, weirdly enough.
Yeah, I cannot blame them for that. Looks like they had quite a messy game against the Bay Area Butchers last time. They managed to keep up with the blocking, so it was 34-31. So they did quite well. And they obviously went up 2-1. But he also managed to injure 2 players and kill 1, which is really impressive for a Wood Elf team.
Yep, all that Mighty Blow doubles is really bringing in the casualties, it seems.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep,
so yeah, I think they're a big threat to whoever they play for the rest of the season, really, as long as they don't implode in a game, because there are some very bashy teams in this division, like the Confederacy and Bash Incorporated.
Yeah, definitely. I think he has the Dwarves next. I think.
Yeah, so that'll be a rough one.
Definitely. The old grudge match. But yeah, I might looking at other teams to have a brief overview of. we might have a look at the. How about we go with your team, Reese? Reese's Ravens. Have a look how they're going. So they have a 13-man team currently. 4 blitzers, 4 blockers, and 5 peasants. So they look pretty good, though, obviously. They're coming up. They will play San June later this afternoon, for those who are watching, at, was it 5:30?
Yeah, we're playing it. We should be playing at 5:30 Sydney time.
Yeah.
So that's GMT plus 11.
Yeah, so ADT for you other people out there. So yeah, that should be a good match. Will Reese be able to keep with Sanjun? That is the question. Not too much tackle, but there's definitely more than some other teams have, which is good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of blodge on those knights, which is very handy, of course.
Yes.
So yeah, and this team is quite TV efficient, really. Not very bloaty. So, which Sanjin's team, I mean, Blodge isn't really bloat, but it definitely brings his team value up.
It really is hard to get bloat on a Dark Elf team, to be honest.
Yeah.
Unless you're keeping, injured players. I'm really going to have to rely on the strength 4 sure hands ball carrier to hold back some of those players. The strength 4 witch elf and the like.
Perhaps a bit of stomping on elf heads might happen in this game. So
yeah, if I get the half a chance, definitely.
But yeah, it's a good team. Of course, I like that 4 mighty blow because if you choose to receive, you can really try bring the pain early, which can help an 11-man. Sanjin only has 11 players, so if you can get a couple out early, that can really swing the game towards your favor. So should be a really good match to watch.
I'm going to have to rely quite heavily on Harold Hadrada with the mighty blow tackle.
Yeah, looking at this team, Reese, that you've made, the thing I like about it is just how consistent it looks. Like, every single player looks like he's going to be, somewhat hard to knock down with so much, wrestle, so much block. You've got blodge on, all of your blitzers and everything, I think that anyone that plays against this is just going to have, a right, painful time just trying to even put one of your guys down.
That's really the advantage of the Bretonians. I mean, they're only armor 8 and strength 3, agility 3, but now that they've got dodge, now that they've got agility, sorry, it's basically just take dodge and sidestep. But now they've got agility on the blitzers, they're a very consistent team. They're hard to knock over, and even with Fend, on the linemen, it means if you play the positioning game, it can be very tough for the opponent to do what they want to do.
Well, see, yeah, that's the good thing about this team is there's not really they're really hitting their peak a bit as well. Like a bit more tackle and sidestep is needed, but other than that, and some dirty player possibly on those linemen. But they're
you can see 2 of them have MVPs, so I'm just gonna hope for an injury or something on them.
Yeah. So it's just they're really quite hitting their stride, which is good for the start of the new season.
You got anything you want to say about their week 1 matchup, which I believe is against the Capital Rats? Yeah.
It was quite violent.
That match was casted, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think at one point we had 15 of 26 players off the field.
Yeah, very violent match considering it was only 31-23 in the block count, which was your way, Reese. But yeah, 12 armor breaks and 10 armor breaks. So yeah, everyone was beating each other. We had 3
players sent off as well.
Yeah.
So it was quite dirty.
Yeah. That's what happens when you have 2 teams with lots of expendable linemen. But yeah. Actually, some good development out from that game.
I got a lot of SPP.
Yeah.
No level ups, but it's getting me there. There's one blocker there that I've got with Mighty Blow who I've just been struggling for 3 or 4 games to get any more SPP on him. So I really want to grab some more tackle. But yeah, I mean, in the end, the dice kind of just were also my way. Lynx didn't play poorly or anything, but I received, and then he really needed the dice to fall a little bit his way to be able to break into the cage. And then with all the KOs, and then I think no one got up 2 or 3 times. I think out of all the KOs we had between the 2 teams, I think we still had 2 or 3 players on each side KO'd at the end of the match. People they were lazy, and we had sweltering heat 2/3 of the way through the match as well.
Yeah, see, that hurts, because even with the 10 movement gutter, Lynx wasn't able to score. So a good defensive effort, obviously. Was he removed from the game?
For a little while, he got up, but then in the second, because he was down 1-0 at this point, he tried to pass to him with the thrower and managed to fumble it.
Oh, that's a killer.
And that really was what ended the game, because at that point I was able to pick it up with one of my blitzers, and he didn't have a lot of choice.
Yeah, I remember that. That was quite telling. I really left the Skaven team at the time, trying to do some, like crazy dodges down the sideline, everything to even try and put some pressure on your cage. There was a few times as well that, the rats were, you completely tied up by like 1 or 2 of your players on like the other side of the field when you had the ball kind of, kept, right inside their half, especially like towards the end of the game. So, there wasn't really any shot really for the Skaven team to get their hands on the ball. So
yeah, he needs a little bit more development so he can get in there. And I mean, it's always going to be hard to take down a strength 4 sure hands ball carrier in the middle of a 4-man cage, and I had 2 guard players in that cage at the same time. So
that really is a rat and an elf player's nightmare, really.
Yeah, I'm not going to choose the Capital Rats as my team, but I do want to talk about them quickly. Because of that game, because I know Lynx was, a wee bit kind of, down after that game. So I just want to go through and point out, like the development that he has actually done. Like, he has the tools on his players to win games, Like, you're not going to win every single game, but this team isn't bad. Like, you look at it, you like in this team, it's not even like like in like 3 or 4 weeks that we're seeing this. In this team right now, if you get the dice going for you, especially with these storm vermin, they have the ability to make removals. With your gutter runners, you've got P. Costello, who has the ability to score at will. Like, you just need to keep trucking at it and keep your head up, dude, because this team can win games. You've done really good.
Yeah, it was just a tough matchup for him. He was down a gutter runner at the time as well, so like it was always going to be rough, unfortunately.
You got to use your speed just to spread teams out, and there's some slower teams in this division like the Astro Orcs and Dwarves and the other Orc team, so I find that's where fast teams really excel, so you should be able to get some good wins on the board there, hopefully.
Get sprint on that move 10 gutter runner, and you're always going to be a threat.
Okay, so I guess we're on to my pick. I haven't actually prepared this to kind of, look in advance. Sam's away, isn't he? So there's not really much point in looking at the Cold Coast Cutthroats. I was going to save it till next week, but I think we will have a look at Bash Incorporated.
Alright.
Who have had, quite a good start to their season. I think are they 2 wins or no? They had a draw against the Astro Orcs, and what a game that was!
Which we casted.
Yeah, I still need to do a bit of editing to it before I put it on YouTube. But look out for that. That game will be appearing on my channel very soon. But you have a look at his team. He said at the start of the season he was thinking about cutting some of his players to get his TV down a little bit, but he's still trucking it up there, 1910. So, who knows if that's going to come next week or whenever. But
I think he decided. I think he was probably going to get rid of that move busted blitzer, but I think he rolled a double and took jump up and decided, no, I'll keep him because now the move bust isn't as big of an issue.
Right. I think now the two players that he was looking at have been under the axe a little bit were Roger the Rocket, because apparently his head's getting a little bit too big, and Lazy Fart, the Troll as well, who hasn't really, he's level 3, hasn't really rolled doubles or anything yet. I think he might keep that until it's 31 SPP and then see if he rolls doubles on that, see if he can get block from it, and if he doesn't, he might start it again. But, Papa
I guess
Nasty's
he
in
may
chat.
as well. He may as well not reveal his hand until the next game, sort of thing. Like if he comes up against Sanju next game, you're going to keep it at 1910 or whatever, or maybe try and go and get a wizard on him. But he may as well just keep his opponent guessing. Will I get a wizard or will he be down at my TV, sort of thing.
Yeah, but if you have a look at the team,
he says he wants to wait until after he's played the Dwarves and the Orcs, which I guess makes sense because you don't want to replace a player and then lose 2 or 3 more.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I think I pointed out in the season preview as well, but I love the builds on his blitzers. He has 2 Mighty Blow piling on guys, and instead of maybe wimping out and going for the guard first, kind of like if you compare it with the Astro Orcs, the other Orc team of the division that they spammed guard all over the place at the start. Instead Papa Nasty's gone the other way and decided, right, okay, I'm going to try and, hit through your guys and remove your guys, and then I'll be able to get 2 dice blocks no matter how much guard you've got, because all your guard will be on the sideline. So,
yeah, that's what happened against Walkathon. There were some big removals early. If we look at Walkathon's team, I can't remember if there were any.
Just the Miss Next game at the moment, I think.
Yeah, a Miss Next game on the Black Orc, which is pretty big, really. Because Orc teams like having their Black Orcs out there. But yeah, if he can tear through teams early, he can really be a shot.
Yep, so we've talked about the team a little bit. If you have a look at the history, so the first game was against the Dwarf team, dwarfing around in week 1. Was that a concession? Yeah, that was a concession victory, which the SPP went on to the Troll and went on to the Black Orc, Morglum, Goldtooth.
I think that he's gone. Oh no.
No, he's still there. It's just sometimes the picture doesn't appear for some reason.
Right.
And
his opponent was moving house, unfortunately. So.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And like I said, it's week 2 game, so kind of we spoilers for next week. Whereas as we mentioned against the Astro Orcs. And like I said, this game will soon be appearing on the channel. I think we'll talk about this game a little bit more, kind of next week with the week 2 recap. But when it comes up, please watch it, guys. It was a really good, really technical kind of matchup between 2 very talented Orc coaches.
Definitely.
So I guess that's us all. Pick the teams. We'll have a quick talk about the leaderboard. So top of the pack at the minute is actually Cool's dad Morka with White Line with 2 wins, no draws, no losses. Papa Nasty and Walkathon both taking the 2nd and 3rd spots at the moment. There's still some games to be played though. With Reese, you're playing, as we mentioned, the Shadow Hill Cowboys this afternoon.
Well, the winner of Reese and the Shadow Hill Cowboys will go up to even with Morka on top. So that's a big match.
Yep. Who do you guys think, the dark horse is in this division? Someone that hasn't really started particularly well, but, they might kind of, rise up as the weeks go on.
Well, the obvious pick is Cold Coast Cutthroats. Sam Slade has been away.
I think it's going to be rough to catch up from 3 losses.
Yeah,
he's going to miss
might be.
Games. I'd say maybe Wreath with Bad Phoenix. He did really well last season as well.
Yeah.
And the High Elves are his team's not bad. I think they're just rebuilding. They lost a few players coming into the season, but he's a great coach. So he'd be my pick for a dark horse.
Yeah, he looks pretty good. Just needs to get some elf rubbish going on and start winning those games. Really.
Okay, so I think that's us just about done for this video. Is there anything else you guys want to say about the recap or anything, or have we just about covered everything?
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, okay.
It's our pleasure.
Okay, so we can go on to any kind of shout outs or anything you guys want to give, anything about the league. Do you have your own streams, your own YouTube channels? Where can we find you? Start with Reese.
No, I don't stream or anything. I find I don't have the time to set everything up and just impatient. So you'll see me this afternoon on other people's streams playing.
Yeah.
So.
Okay then.
We are looking forward to that match.
Okay then, Magic. As we said, we'll be casting that match this afternoon. Starts at 5:30, whichever Australian time that was.
Yep, AEDT. So that's the East Coast, except for Queensland, because Queenslanders don't like daylight savings. Weird people.
Farmers don't like daylight savings.
So yeah, that's our week 1 recap just about done then. I want to thank everyone for watching, and we had some interesting comments in chat, some interesting chat about the teams. I always enjoy seeing that, so thanks very much for coming and watch, guys. If you're YouTube guys, if you liked the video, please leave a like. If you didn't like it, dislike. Anything we missed or anything you want to add, please leave it in the comment section. And please subscribe for, some more matches from ReBBL's Big O League. So once again, thanks to Cole and thanks to Reese for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Okay.